Hi there, I'm Bailey from Glowforge, and welcome to our Building a Business series. The world around us has changed drastically in the last couple of years, from working from home to buying even more online, and there's never been a better time to start a side hustle. Glowforge is the perfect tool to help a creative person like you make some serious cash doing what you love, making things. So I designed these 3 short classes to give you a crash course on everything you need to know to get started. Think of it as a mini business bootcamp where you can absorb everything I learned from talking to some of the most brilliant brains in the business. The business of selling things made on a Glowforge, that is. Today and tomorrow, I'll introduce you to a handful of Glowforge owners who were generous enough to impart some of their business wisdom upon us. And because there's so much wisdom to share, I asked a few of them to join us live on day 3 for an expert panel where you'll have the chance to learn from people who've really been there. But for today, we'll focus on 4 major topics. 1, identifying and designing for your target market. 2, building a brand story and look. 3, bringing your brand and products to life on your Glowforge. And 4, finding your community. Before we dive in, I want you to know we could not be more excited for you as you embark on your Glowforge business journey. One of my favorite parts of working here at Glowforge has been seeing how getting a Glowforge changes people's lives. I've seen more than a few folks go from side hustle to full-time business owners. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that there's room for everyone in this huge world of making. All you need is a glowing idea and a glowing button to get started. So let's do that, shall we? Section 1, identifying and testing your target market. So, you want to make something with your Glowforge that will sell. That's your product. And every product has a target market, a group of people, however niche or broad, that the product was made exactly for. When you get your product in front of your target market, they love it and they buy it because you made it with them in mind. When you're thinking about who your target market is, you might want to consider things like, who do they buy gifts for throughout the year? Friends, family, students, clients? Will they be decorating a home, an apartment, a car, a yard, a front porch, or a classroom? Where do they shop? How will they find you? How much are they willing to spend on one item? These kind of questions can inform your initial product offering and then those that follow. Consider niche markets that you have unique knowledge about or could solve unique problems for with the products you sell. Maybe you're a realtor and know that personalized client closing gifts are always in demand. Maybe you're a dog owner and know that most people prefer leash hangers by their front and back doors. In fact, this brings me to our first Glowforge-powered business story. Ian, who's based in Glasgow, Scotland, got his Glowforge last summer with the original idea of selling customized Nikes. But in the end, he couldn't turn a profit due to a mismatch of how much time and craftsmanship he wanted to put into each custom pair and how much his local market in the UK will pay for such an item. And instead of quitting, Ian decided to find out what his local market does want. Ian started up his brand Simply Laser Creations and began testing different products to sell, and he found a few real winners. One of them, you might have guessed, is a custom leash holder for dog owners. This bestseller offers 80 different dog silhouettes, so buyers can choose one that looks just like theirs. Once you have an idea for a product that your target market is bound to love, scope out the competition. This can be as simple as browsing the web or visiting a local craft fair to see what similar products are being sold, to whom, and with what features. Be sure to pay attention to what others are selling a similar product for, and we'll talk a bit more about pricing in class 2. If there are lots of similar products, consider how you can make your version stand out and appeal to your target market. Remember those 80 different dog silhouettes that Ian offers? His advice? Test different price points, try including or not including free shipping, and experiment with ways that you describe your products to see what sticks. Section 2, creating a brand. Even without putting the time and effort into creating a unique brand, you will probably still sell some of your products. But I really recommend that you don't skip this part. Why? Branding is the most magical, powerful tool you have. It can cost very little, but it can determine how much people will value the things you sell. Think of some brand names in your head. Think about where you get your morning coffee or the device you're watching this class from. Think about the feelings, words, color, and style associated with those brands. You as a consumer know them without even studying them or trying to remember them because they're traits that these huge companies have embedded in their brands for years. A brand helps make you memorable and distinguishable. Brands tell us a story about the people behind the product, or at the very least, they tell us how to feel about a product. They tell us which brands are higher quality than others, which ones we should pay more for, and which ones to buy from again. And you don't need to be a marketing guru to build a brand. To kick off a new brand, you want to think of how to tell your story through things like your company name, your logo, and photography style. Once you know what your brand is, you can use it to help inspire the look and feel that you want your brand to convey in visuals like your social media or retail spaces. And consider how much you might incorporate your own personality into the brand. People love knowing the creators they shop from. Would you model your own pieces for your shop photos? Do Instagram Q&As? Send email newsletters from you to your customers? I recently talked with one of the most incredible brand builders I've ever met, Chelsea from Golden Hippie Co. One glance at her Instagram feed will give you some groovy, feel-good vibes, and that beautiful brand comes straight from Chelsea's passion for all things retro, and especially all things 1970s. And with an aesthetic this dialed in, you might be surprised to learn that just 2 weeks before launch, Chelsea got cold feet about her original brand concept. The colors and fonts and feel were just not quite right, so she went back to the drawing board and Golden Hippie Co. was born. The lesson there? You've got to love it. Make something you love and you'll be able to put your all into it even more. The way that Chelsea's brand shines through is photography and aesthetics. Even if you don't plan to sell your products online, I recommend investing in product photography for your social media site and website, which we'll cover a bit more in the next class. In fact, when you submit to enter a craft show even, you'll often need to include photos of what your booth or presence at the event would look like, so keep listening. When I was chatting with Chelsea from Golden Hippie Co., she mentioned that she spent an afternoon with a fellow retro fashion enthusiast who has a large Instagram following, and she learned that she already had the tools to create the beautiful content on her feed. With clothes right out of Chelsea's closet, they shot some gorgeous photos without setting foot in a studio. And don't worry, this doesn't need to mean spending thousands of dollars on equipment. Investing your time in learning how to take the best images with the camera you already have is often more valuable. If you do plan to sell online, learning to take good photos of your products can mean the difference between a ton of interest in sales and very little for the same product. For each product, you'll need to take several photos for the listing, photos that show the quality and craftsmanship that went into them, give shoppers an idea of the size or fit of the product, and ideally reflect the brand you've built. Some selling platforms even allow for GIFs or short videos, which I really recommend experimenting with. If you're brand new to photography, the good news is that most smartphone cameras are high quality enough to produce gorgeous results, so there's no need to invest in expensive photo equipment. There are tons of smartphone product photography videos on YouTube, so I'd start there. And depending on your product, you'll want to opt for either natural or artificial lights and consider things like props or models if you're selling something that people wear. It's a good idea to consider taking photos both alone on a simple background or in situ in the natural situation they'd be in. Look for props that reflect your brand or add texture, color, levels, and dimensions to your photo. Or just look at the Golden Hippie Co. Instagram feed for some 1970s flavored inspiration. Section 3, bringing your product to life with Glowforge. One of the most incredible things about Glowforge is how you can bring the idea inside your head to life in minutes. And since Glowforge is so fast, you can print your orders on demand, so you don't risk keeping stock on hand that might not sell. This speed has another big advantage. If you notice a popular trend, you can quickly incorporate it into your product and leverage the trend. There's a big advantage to being one of the first to market, and you can do it over and over again. And don't worry, you don't need to be an engineer or designer to bring your product from your mind into reality. I'll explain. Every Glowforge print starts with a digital file like a PDF, so the first step in creating your new product is to decide how you'll create the print file. Will it require any customized elements that you get from the buyer, like a name, photo, or graphic? Spoiler alert, I suggest yes, so start thinking about that early. If you know how to use design programs like Adobe Illustrator, then you're all set to design for Glowforge. You'll be able to cut and engrave on your Glowforge using file types like PDFs or SVGs. If you want to learn or need a refresher, there are tons of great videos on YouTube made by Glowforge owners. Not a designer? You could also browse online marketplaces like Etsy or the Glowforge catalog to see if what you want to print is already available as a digital file to purchase and then print on your Glowforge. If you do a little searching, you'll find there are tens of thousands of print-ready laser cutter files available, some for just a few dollars each, which you can download, customize, print, and sell. Try searching for terms like laser cut files or SVG files, and be sure to read the fine print to ensure that you are allowed to sell the printed product and that there's no limitations. If you have something really unique in mind that you can't find and you don't have the design skills to create it yourself, you could also consider commissioning someone to design the product for you. Sites like Fiverr, 99 Design, and Upwork can be helpful resources to connect with a designer on your budget. This is a great option to have on hand as you build your brand. You may want to hire some talent to design things like an illustration or a logo for your new business. In this example, I'm going to choose to produce something from the Glowforge catalog. I chose the important dates hanging calendar with the option to add custom hanging tokens. It's a print-ready file available for $24.99 for unlimited prints, and it has commercial licensing, meaning you have permission to sell what you print. Next, you'll want to decide on materials. Your Glowforge can cut and engrave on hundreds of different materials. So what will you use? You might consider testing several different options or even trying the same material source from different places to find what looks best for your product. You could also consider offering multiple material choices for your customers, budget-friendly plywoods for some and luxurious hardwoods for others, which would, of course, command a premium. Carefully consider the final look you're going for. Is it bright and colorful acrylics, polished and sleek hardwoods, supple leathers, crayon-ready cardboards, or perhaps you're printing directly on a finished item like a cutting board, a wallet, plate, or watch band. Remember, getting a Glowforge means you'll have the ability to work with products you never have before. In the app, it's super easy to take a calendar token and copy and paste and rotate to fit however many I need. Remember, we're aiming to maximize yield from our materials, so use every square inch you can. You could even create a sub-product line like other calendar charms as add-ons or a line of earrings that you could sell for $15 a pop. We'll cover more about pricing in the next class. For our important dates calendar, I want to use a material that's light in color enough to see and engrave personalization really clearly and something that looks great without any painting or staining. So I'm going to choose a proof grade maple plywood, which is already pre-sanded and finished with a furniture grade polish. So this step is technically optional, but I think it's one worth taking. To really make your product stand out, find an element of personalization. You can, of course, sell unpersonalized items, and depending on your product, that might make sense in your business plan. However, we hear from lots of Glowforge-powered business owners that their ability to offer personalized goods increases not only the average individual order price, but also the total number of orders you'll see. People love customization. Pro tip, you can actually enable a personalization indicator for your listing on Etsy so that it comes up when folks are searching for such a thing. Some examples could include engraving text like names or dates, places, song lyrics, or quotes, images like photographs, and even capturing handwritings and hand illustrations using the Glowforge trace feature. Zori from Sugar and Chic Shop has been running a small business for more than 10 years. And she told us that her custom baby footprint baubles, printed on her Glowforge, of course, are among her top sellers during the holiday season. In this scenario, I can imagine Zori's target market must be new parents who want to gift their family and friends with a modestly priced celebration of the arrival of their baby. So they send Zori a photo of their baby's footprints, and she's able to capture them forever. Adding the custom detail of your baby's footprint isn't something that everybody can do, and it makes the end result so much more personal to the recipient. To me, this is where the magic happens. One of the coolest things about having a Glowforge is the ability to make every single thing you print feel like it was printed with its recipient in mind. For our important dates calendar, we could include some generic tokens like a cake to mark a birthday or an airplane to mark a trip, or offer a set of customized tokens for an upgrade fee. Here's an insider tip. Print a bunch of blank calendars. Then as orders come in, you can put as many as you need back into your Glowforge and add the personalized touches. With agility like this, you'll be able to offer faster dispatch times, increasing the number of orders you can fulfill before the season is over. The last step in bringing your Glowforge made products to life is finishing. Depending on your product, this step is also optional, but it can be a great way to really increase your margins. Your engraved cheese board might look fabulous right out of the Glowforge, or you might choose to add a colorful resin pour to it. Finishing a product or adding after print details like paint, inlays, or gold foil can add dimension and luxury to your product and help justify a higher price point. It's also a way to take a simple, mass-produced design and make it completely one of a kind. Keep in mind that it can also take much longer to produce a highly finished product, so you'll want to factor finishing time and materials into your pricing plan, which we'll talk through in the next class. One finishing step that I always think is worth it is to add your shop name or website to the back of your product. That way, when the recipient is looking for their own custom gifts, they'll know who to visit. Section 4, finding your community. This might all seem like a lot of overwhelming information, so I wanted to end today's class with one of the most important tips I heard from our super successful business owners. Find your community. There are tons of online hubs for just about anything, and creating things with lasers is certainly one of them. For Audrey from Min to Be Designs, for example, this meant connecting with a whole community of like-minded laser entrepreneurs and crafters on forums like Facebook and Instagram. She says once she started posting her creations on Instagram and using relevant hashtags, the algorithm helped her meet some incredible people with similar dreams and goals who wanted to offer help and support to others along the way by sharing their own successes and failures. When I was talking with Audrey, I heard a mantra I loved: community over competition, which is the idea that there's enough business out there for everyone, especially if we lift each other up to help each of us be the best and most unique creators we can be. Case in point, Audrey got a Glowforge Pro and hoped she'd pay it off within 2 or 3 years. With the support of her amazing online entrepreneur community, she ended up doing so in just 4 months. But more about paying off your Glowforge in record time next class. Well, that wraps up our session for today. I hope that by the time we're done, you'll have all the info you need to figure out what you're going to sell, how to personalize, price, and scale your production, and last but not least, where and how you're going to sell it, all based on expert advice from people who've been there themselves. See you next time.